Heroes of Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome into the show. This is the Turkey Day episode. Thanksgiving is tomorrow. We're recording this on Wednesday, November 22nd. I'm joined tonight by Chris. How are you doing this fine evening, sir?
Doing dandy. I'm getting ready for the food coma I'm about to be in tomorrow. And I'm glad we're doing this episode today because God knows I can't do it tomorrow.
Oh yeah, it's now. What's your gauge on the food coma here? You go belt with loops, unbelt a couple buttons, or we just kind of stretch it out, sweatpants. What's your
I'm
go-to?
definitely a sweatpants type of guy. I'm unconventional. I hate wearing jeans and I hate wearing belts. I don't like getting dressed up. I'm like a filthy casual. So any chance I can avoid that, I do. Which is it sucks because I go into work every day dressed up. But I like to go in comfortable so that way when I eat I'm comfortable. And if I have to close my eyes and wake up 24 hours later, so be it.
Yep. Oh, it's my favorite holiday. I get made fun of all the time for saying that I don't like Christmas as much, but Thanksgiving is where it's at. Food, beer, football, family. What else can you ask for?
I don't know.
So, in the spirit of Thanksgiving season, we are going to do our favorite Turkey Day tradition. So, what is your favorite Thanksgiving Day tradition you have?
So up until recently, we didn't really have too many like insane traditions. I mean, we would watch like the Macy's Day Parade or whatever, but like for me personally, actually, in the most like more recent years, like past couple, we went over to my cousin actually had kids about 8, 7, I think years ago, something like that. I believe that's when they had the first kid. They have another one right now. So we've been going over to them a lot for Thanksgiving, so they don't have to travel with the kids. And they recently started a tradition where we sign the the tablecloth of where you sat or whatever, which I had never done before. I never even like thought of doing that. I don't know how popular that is, but I thought it was a cool. I mean, it's a little weird because you have all like the stains or whatever because they're kids eating and stuff like that. So it's a little weird to that extent. I don't know where she stores that, but I thought it was it's a cool idea, 100%, and definitely gets the memories the memory lane and like they like the Thanksgiving like 20 whatever like whatever year it is. It's a cool idea.
Yes, that sounds pretty cool. For me, it's kind of just other than just plopping down on a couch with a beer, watching some football games. Recently, it's been watching the Thanksgiving Day parade with my wife and daughter. I was never a parade guy growing up. I kind of skipped out on it. I would do something else or go outside and play and stuff. But now watching her see it, it's really cool because she's got a bunch of fun reactions to the floats and the dancing, and obviously Santa Claus comes at the end, so that's a big deal for her. So it's just fun kind of watching it through her eyes. For me, it's still I'm not a big parade person still, but it's just really cool to watch her and we all get to do it together, and then it's
You're a
just
family man.
yeah, then we get to go and just devour copious amounts of food. So it's a great end of the day. But all right. So you ready to do our Turkey Day segment here, sir?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
All
100%.
right. So we were kind of talking before the show, just looking at different players and kind of comparing them to some of these either side dishes or main meals in Thanksgiving. So what better way to bring into a show than talk about Thanksgiving after we already did? But all right, so we're gonna go with pick a surprisingly good side dish and what player kind of fills that in your mind.
Yeah. So for me, right, and I know touching this perhaps later on, but I something that I found surprisingly good a while back was crispy Brussels sprouts, which is essentially Brussels sprouts, basically like almost like I don't want to say pan fried. But that's like almost what it is, or like crispy, so it's not as like chewy and weird. There's like honey and also bacon, as if bacon couldn't make anything better. And for me, a player that personifies that, as funny as it is, Gus Edwards. Definitely surprisingly good. Definitely something that you wouldn't think is that good alone. But you got the added spice, you got the added sweetness of J.K. Dobbins being injured. Sorry, J.K. And you got the bacon of he is just a tank. And he does not stop running. He scores touchdowns all the time for you. I think he is my surprisingly good side dish.
Yeah, he kind of came out of, I mean, didn't really come out of nowhere because we all knew kind of what he was, but his role definitely expanded into something I didn't really see coming. I know he's had a couple really low carry games, but he just he's a goal
Uh,
line back, and it's a
yeah,
good
exactly.
offense, so
He's the
they're always in scoring position.
yeah, he's the
So
touchdown, which is crazy to think about, honestly.
yeah, it's fun. All right, so for me, I was more of a corn person, but never really creamed corn. So it was kind of first time I tried, I was like, this is actually pretty darn good. So for me, cream corn is the meal, the surprisingly good side dish. And that player to me is Rashid Shaheed on the New Orleans Saints. He's a guy that has frustrated me being a Chris Olave owner this season because they both kind of play downfield and one's having a lot of success and one is not. Um, but he's actually pretty good. And now we didn't really do news today, but Michael Thomas is on IR. So it's going to be Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed for the next couple weeks. And I think that is going to be great for him. He could be a weekly flex play, and he's just good. He has the connection with Derek Carr. We still don't know if Derek Carr is going to play or if it's going to be Jameis, but we've also seen Jameis support two top wide receivers when he was in on the Bucks. So I know he can do it. He's going to throw a bunch of picks because that's who he is at this point. But for fantasy, it's wonderful because then he has to throw and they get away from the running game. So for me, Rashid Shaheed, cream corn, start him. It's
Yeah,
it's a dish that's going to keep on coming.
if you told me that he was gonna be one of the main headlines of that offense, I would have told you were crazy at the beginning of the year. But here we are.
Yep, we're all crazy now. So all right, so next thing up, good old reliable. We got some mashy taters, my favorite. Who is the mashed potatoes of the fantasy world to you?
For me, Rashad White, easily. He isn't the most like superstar guy in the world. I know he's sitting at RB8 right now, which is fantastic. But he's not, I don't imagine he's always going to be there. He doesn't always have like the most breakout games, but in terms of just what he puts to the table, he's always reliable. He's always rushing. They seem to like to feed the ball to him. I cannot like him more as someone who is definitely reliable, gets out there and does his thing. 100%.
Yeah, he's been pretty good. it's it's been nice. I mean, a lot of it has been his receiving ability. It's been kind of propping him up a bit. But in fantasy football, we don't care how the points come as long as they do. So reliable, yes, he gets a lot of points, and you can lock him in pretty much every week. You know, he doesn't really have many super down games because of that receiving ability. So I like the pick. For me here, it's going to be Jerome Ford. Now, I know it's been a little rough. You know, I got him luckily on waivers after Nick Chubb went down with injury, but looking at his game log, he's got at least 10 points in five of his last couple games. And that's kind of what you want. He's getting a bunch of opportunities. And that's someone that going in, he's not going to put up a dud outside of him getting injured. He's going to give you points in your flex or an RB2 slot. So that's someone I try to build my roster is you know what you're getting from him and it's going to be good. May not be great, but sometimes you don't need great. You just need something to get you past the finish line. And you need a good baseline. And I think that's Jerome Ford. So I love me some mashed potatoes. So I can
100%.
talk about this all day.
100%.
All right. Sweet and savory, sir. What's a sweet and savory dish?
Cranberry sauce, definitely more on the sweet end, but it depends on how you use it. I guess to an extent. And for me, definitely the sweet portion, probably coming in like a last minute punch. Jordan Addison, 100%. Uh, Probably going into the season wasn't ever going to be expecting him to be the number one, and then stuff happened. Justin Jefferson, and he goes on to say that he doesn't care about fantasy managers. Sorry guys, he hates us. I, Listen, I know. Trade him to me. I will take your Justin Jefferson. If he doesn't like you, he won't. I get it. But no, in all seriousness, yeah, definitely on the sweeter end, you have him. You put him in definitely like a lineup lock now. You get that sweet little nice throws from Joshua Dobbs. Good times all around. Definitely my sweet and savory for cranberry sauce.
Yeah, I mean, fantasy and the NFL are together but separate. I understand when players like, yeah, like don't DM a player. Like let's just this goes
People
out to
who do that
everyone
are
for fantasy.
cringe. They are
Yeah,
cringe. They are
like
inherently cringe. You know who I blame for that. In all honesty, not really. I don't actually blame, but this is definitely leading to it. Austin Eckler. I don't know if you remember, like he had like this whole thing where it was like, "Get ready, fantasy managers! You're about to have a great week this week," and then he would go on to score like 30 points for no reason at all. I blame that, or I contribute that to it. It's like, oh my god, they really do listen to us, and now they just annoy every player known to mankind. I can only imagine the type of messages Nick Chubb got from some of the stupidest people on the internet who play
yeah.
fantasy football.
So let's just PSA here, public service announcement. As fantasy people, just be better. All right. Don't be DMing a
Please.
player because they lost you a week. They don't care about your fantasy. They don't care about your fantasy league. They might care about fantasy, just not you. So don't take it personally. It's fantasy football. It's a game. So let's just put that out there first. But for me here, my sweet and savory dish is going to be sweet potato casserole. And for me, that kind of embodies the person who embodies that is going to be Jalen Warren. This is someone that we've been kind of waiting to see a little bit more on on his plate. And as of recently, he started getting a little bit more run in this offense. I know the Steelers have not really been a great offense. They've been pretty awful, actually. But they just fired Matt Canada finally. So, Steelers fans, you may rejoice. And for me, looking at it right now, he's finished as an RB1 or two in the past 3 weeks in half PPR scoring. This is someone that is pretty safe. You're going to get points from him because he is the receiving back. Najee Harris has been typical Najee, it seems. He's a little bit more on the slower side and not used as well. But I mean, there could be a change in this offense that makes it better for him. But Jalen Warren is not someone to ignore. He's going to be on this team. He's going to be putting up points. He's going to be very involved with this offense, especially going forward. So this is someone where you get a little sweet and then you get to the savory stuff. So it's going to be a bigger workload with a little bit more high value touches towards the red zone is where I expect this to happen. So Jalen Warren is pretty good. I think he's a solid player on your team, and no one can say bad things about sweet potato casserole. So don't
You
be
know what the
talking bad about my Jalen Warren.
You know what the best part is? Like the sweet part might be the Jalen Warren, and then the savory is definitely getting rid of Matt Canada. 100 or vice versa. I don't care. That's the best part.
Yeah,
one
it's
hundred
it's
percent
I have Deontay Johnson in a couple leagues too, and it's been okay-ish for him. He's been dealing
Hit
with
or
a couple
miss.
injuries, but
Yeah.
I think this offense should take a step forward to finish out the year. So
Did
hopefully you
you do you
bought
remember
low on some of
that
them.
that Twitter clip that went around like last year during the season where Matt Canada wanted to go like celebrate with a guy in the room, and I think it was Chris Boswell, I
Oh
think,
yeah, you said it.
walking up
What we didn't
behind,
win
and
because of you.
it's like definitely not because of you.
Yeah,
Definitely, or something like that. Oh, what a
yeah. I
great
saw
time!
I saw
What a
that
what a
yesterday.
champion to the people.
Yeah, that was good. All right. So we were pretty positive. So let's get a little bit negative here. which is the bad side dish that someone brings, and at the end of the day, you're packing up leftovers, and there's a lot left. So what's that bad side dish for you, and who is it?
I've actually pulled it up on my phone here where I get most of my stats. I just want to show the world. Honestly, uttering this person's name might be like a curse. So yeah,
Don't say it three. Don't say it 3 times.
yeah,
You might come
don't.
at me.
I know my camera's not really in focus. But yeah, I think you guys get the gist. I think you know exactly who this is. Juju Smith-Schuster. Uh, what a waste, honestly. I hate green bean casserole. That's who he is. Honestly, I could have put any side dish that I ate here, and this would have honestly fit the description. Um, I like say what you want about like Mac Jones, right, and the rest of the offense. It is not there. Like it is not because of Mac Jones that he's bad. Mac Jones had decent weeks, and in those decent weeks, he either didn't play or sucked. It was one of the two. I'm gonna go right now. 1 second. I'm pissed about this. I am. I really, really am for a lot of different reasons. Not a single game above 10 fantasy points. Not a single one. I'm so sorry for anyone who drafted him or picked him up from waivers, thinking that you had like a diamond in the rough. I'm sorry. That's also me too. It's not worth it. You probably threw up from this horrible side dish. Probably cooked it, Ron. So yeah, worst side dish of all time. Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, it's been a sad ride for Juju ever since his departure for the Steelers, and ever since Antonio Brown left the Steelers, we were left wanting more, and it just
He's
never
the
really happened.
he did the TikTok dance, right? On the logo, right? In the
Yeah,
little
on the
right?
logo. So this is
Yeah.
probably bad juju from that. This is probably karma
I see what
for
you did
what he
there. Bad
did.
juju? Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, yeah, see? Come for the fantasy, stay for the jokes. Let's go. I'm a dad
Yeah.
now, so dad jokes for you. It's kind of once you become a dad, part of your brain just switches. It's like, oh, dad joke. There you go.
Internalize, memorize.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There's a lot up here, but 50% is dad jokes that I don't utter, and the other like 50% is some I do. So for me here, I am not a Brussels sprouts person. I despise them. They smell weird, and they just don't taste good. And you could take a bite, but you know it's not going to be good. For this season, this is something I've had to come to terms with. Miles Sanders is going to be my bad side dish. He's someone you took a bite of in draft season. You were excited. He was good. And it turned out it was raw in the middle, not cooked properly, burnt edges, and it doesn't taste good, and you threw it out. So Miles Sanders right now is probably on waivers in most leagues. If he's not, you're kind of hopeful. There could be a shot, but you'd have to put bacon on it, and then it's not the side dish anymore. It's something completely different. So it's not even that. Miles Sanders has been a disappointment. I had him in my rankings as an RB12 going into the season because I expected him to be used more in the passing game. I expected Bryce Young to be a little bit better than he is, despite being a rookie. I know rookies struggle the first year, but I expected a little bit more, and I guess obviously I got that wrong. And part of that is Miles Sanders is getting you. If you drafted him, you're feeling that firsthand. So Miles Sanders, I'm sorry, but you're Brussels sprouts. I don't want you. You're gonna stay. I saw you on waivers, and I'm gonna leave you there. I'm gonna let someone else take you home, not
Damn.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. That whole offense has been so lackluster. I feel like there's another like the huge thing about it is that like that line is really not great on the Panthers, and it doesn't help anyone. Whereas like on the Eagles, where Miles Sanders came from, I mean, he had a great line. Like he wasn't the greatest, but definitely putting up way better numbers here. I don't know where the future of his career is going, but I forgot how long he has in his contract
They
left.
signed him to a 3-year deal,
3 year.
so
Wow.
they
Okay,
can
so
probably
he's
they could get out probably next year with a just
okay.
pretty decent dead cap hit, but he's going to be
Yeah.
there at least next year. So
I only said because Chuba Hubbard also isn't doing anything in the running back position. I truthfully believe it's either they're both duds, which I have a hard time saying Chuba Hubbard is a dud because every single time when Christian McCaffrey got hurt, he stepped in he usually did pretty okay. So I like to think it was a line thing. But yeah, no, definitely bad side dish alert, 100%.
Yeah, you got on that offense, you have Adam Thielen and then end the list because you don't care. So, all right, sir, we made it. We're now at the turkey, the main dish. Who is your main dish player?
This is so I went personal in terms of like who I had in multiple. There's a bunch of players you could put here. Just like how there's a bunch of different ways you could cook a turkey, right? So for me personally, I got CD Lamb as my main dish. He is wide receiver 3 in half PPR. He is fantastic. He is a standout. I I get a little worried after some stuff that happened last season to an extent, but those worries are gone. They're in the trash. This guy has came out of nowhere and has just like dominated so hard against also some like decent defenses. Uh, it, I've got to admit, I'm super impressed. I didn't think he would be at the position he is right now, and he's definitely 100% my main dish in multiple different leagues.
Yeah, he's been lights out. It's been if you have him, like if someone offered you Tyreek Hill for CeeDee Lamb, are you taking that deal? Because personally,
That's
I'm
rough.
riding with CD. I'm riding with CD.
You know, can I be completely honest with you? Man, that's tough. I think I would take Tyreek. And there's only one
For
reason. There's
that's
only
probably the right answer. We'll get that.
I
For
yeah.
me, I'm riding the Flames with CD Lamb. That
I don't blame
offense
you.
looks
I
great.
do not blame you at all. At all. I think that's very fine. I just think Tua might be a better quarterback then. But at the same time, CeeDee Lamb is definitely the uncontested wide receiver one, whereas Tyreek has to deal with Jalen Waddle. So there's definitely it could go both ways. It could go both ways.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll see. I'm I don't know. I'm a big CD guy, especially after this season. He kind of put a lot of doubt. Well, not him.
Trust me, I'm
There's a
aware.
lot of doubt.
I know you're a CD guy. Oh, I know. You really wanted him. Trust me, I'm aware.
I tried to send you the farm, and you kept telling me, nah, we're good. So
Hold the line.
we'll see. All right, so on to my main course, my turkey dinner. Amon Ra St. Brown of the Detroit Lions has been just an absolute showstopper this season. He has been lights out with about 6 games. Sorry, can't do math right now. So I'm reading. 6 games inside the top 12 at the wide receiver position. This offense is amazing. They just get it done. Him and Jared Goff have a great connection. He's always open. He is a great, excellent route runner. Someone that kind of came onto the scene right out of the gate, won some people championships, a few years ago. Last year did this was really good again. This year, just it's just fun to watch him play football and on a team where they get to air the ball out a little bit. They're very balanced, so he gets a lot of these opportunities. He's had a bunch, about 8 games this season, 7 or 8 games, with 100 plus receiving yards. So touchdowns are great when they happen, but for him, he is a PPR monster. He gets so many targets, so many catches. He's just great to build your roster around him because he's going to get a bunch of points. If he scores, he could be a week winner. So I would love to build my roster around this, and that's what we're all talking about. Turkey is the main dish. You want everything else just supports the turkey. It's just there. It's helping it out, helping it go down.
Can
So
I be honest?
I'm raw.
I gotta be honest. I went through a lot of redraft leagues. And I didn't draft him once, not by choice. I'm pissed that I didn't get him. I really, really wanted him, and I didn't get him in a single one. And I hated every second of it. I really, really wanted him on Raw, and now I'm like kicking myself I didn't like be maybe a little greedy during certain picks and be like, oh, I'll take the top projected guy instead of on Raw. No, I should have listened to myself. I might be in better positions now if I did that.
Yeah, there were a couple drafts that I saw him slip to the third, but I was always at the end, so I could never get him. So there were I had the ability to do it once, and I took CD Lamb instead. So not kicking myself for that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just it's he's going to be so when we do our recap episodes for this season, he's going to be one of the guys we're going to be talking about in the wide receiver show. That's
Oh yeah.
he hit, he delivered where you drafted him, he delivered and probably over delivered. Still, there's still some games to play, so we'll see how the final finish starts out. But yeah, we'll see. But man, it's been fun. So all right, now that I'm really hungry and I'm even more excited for Thanksgiving tomorrow, let's give our Week 12 heroes. So you want to start us off? We're each going to do one person at each position to get you guys ready for Week 12. So Chris, who's your quarterback hero?
All right. So, no super surprises for me at the quarterback position. Pretty sure this was one of my heroes last week. But I'm gonna keep riding the train of Joshua Dobbs. Let me paint the picture for you. Right, you're heading into a pivotal week. Right, you're close. Right, you're either trying to secure that first place seeding, or you're trying to get closer and closer to locking the playoffs, and you're like in a deadlock league. Right, and at this point, what's separating between you and everybody else is a stable quarterback. I am of the personal position that quarterbacks generally, unless you have a really good one, they don't always matter. They're going to get you those 15 to maybe 20 points, and you're satisfied with that. Because at the end of the day, it's really mostly your position players that are going to get there for you. Not this year. We've had a bunch of injuries. We had a couple of surprises. Now people are struggling on some certain quarterbacks, whether you're in a regular redraft league, I can speak, I promise, or like a super flex league, right? One of the two, and you're searching for something, right? I doubt Joshua Dobbs is still in your free agency. If he is, you need to pick him up immediately, right? Immediately. He's going against the Chicago Bears, who are not they're not great at all on the defensive side. So no issues there. The offense on Chicago from last week, it wasn't bad, right? Which would mean that if they somehow reproduce that same result in this upcoming week against the Vikings, it could be a shootout in which Joshua Dobbs needs to throw the ball, obviously, and he has perfect targets to do so. Hawkinson and Addison. Jefferson's not going to be there yet. No need for concern. He's been doing it without Jefferson just fine. So I don't think you have to worry about any of that at all. If you're sitting there going to the week, you're like, Geno Smith is going against a really good defense. I don't know. Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi. No, you start Joshua Dobbs. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs is definite play this week unless you have some. You got to have one of these top guys to not play him in a good matchup. So he's pretty good, and like you said, he's been doing it without his best weapon that he's ever played with. So imagine what happens when Jefferson comes back. this team could get really good. For me here, yeah, for me it's going to be C.J. Stroud. I'm riding these flames. It's I can't say enough good things about him. This week he's going up against the Jaguars defense. You know what he's done so far. He could be the offensive rookie of the year easily right now. If the league ended today, it's definitely him, 100% with no questions asked. But what he has done, he's top 3 in passing yards and yards per attempt. He has a 17-5 touchdown interception ratio so far. Last week he had 3 picks. So before last week, it was a 17-2. He's 8th in NFL passer rating. Right now, the Jaguars defense is allowing about 19 fantasy points per game to the opposing quarterback position. Stroud, back in week 3, put up 20 receptions, 20 completions, 280 yards, and 2 touchdowns and finish as the QB 12. That was his third game as an NFL quarterback. Now he's learned some things and he knows his players are really good. And that wide receiving core is very surprising. I did not see them doing this, but here we are. So CJ Stroud, start him and enjoy.
That's like the entire Houston Texans, I think, wrapped up. I didn't anticipate seeing them doing this, but here we are, and they're just taking it by storm. I love CJ. It's funny talking about how he was too stupid to play football during the
Oh yeah,
during the
that
off
was
season,
such an
and now we're
annoying.
here.
It just goes to show tests mean nothing when they're looking at rookies. Like, watch what they could do. Like, it's one thing if the test, if he wasn't a good quarterback, if you saw a ton of flaws and he didn't test well, okay, that's kind of confirmation.
Yeah, sure.
But when he's lights out on the field, but he tests really poor, I don't care. Like, that's noise. Throw it out
Yeah.
and just use your eyeballs.
It's funny, we were. I remember like when we were drafting, right, or whatever. I'm sorry, before our draft, and we're going up into the actual NFL draft. I remember the question being thrown on our group chat of, do the Panthers select Bryce Young first overall, or is it C.J. Stroud? And it ended up being Bryce Young, but now they're looking pretty stupid. That's all I'm
Oh,
trying to
they
say.
messed up. They
I'm
messed up
pretty
big time.
sure, I could be wrong, but I think I forgot who it was, but I remember there being like a rumor or like a report stating that one of the person on the coaching staff of Carolina did not want to pick Bryce Young. That could be completely incorrect. I
Yeah,
remember
you'll
reading that
hear that.
somewhere. I'm sure.
There's
I'm sure
always
I'm going to
someone
hear
if it's out of
everything.
the
I'm going to
woodwork.
hear like, oh yeah, we really wanted Will Levis or
Yeah.
Hendon Hooker for our future.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, something to think about.
All right. So, who is your running back hero this week, sir?
So this is my definite shot in the dark, 100%, without any doubt in my mind. AJ Dillon. So let me explain why I'm picking AJ Dillon. And this is probably I actually have a situation like what I'm about to explain in one of my leagues, for redraft. If I have AJ Dillon, I'm perhaps a little cramped on running back room, and maybe because of some other injuries, also a little cramped on you know players in general that I can start, and I need that flex option, or maybe like the running back two or something like that. AJ Dillon is probably not the first person that you would go to, but for people who are plagued by injuries, or perhaps you're on some bye week issue, something, whatever the case may be, this is the time. With Aaron Jones, I actually think he's been declared out. I think he
Yeah.
got declared out today. Yeah. Yeah. And he's definitely going to be going like week to week, I know they said. So he could be out definitely for at least another week or two. This is like his time. He is not bad. I'm gonna go to last year really fast. Give me one moment here. While he was out, we have like, so let's see, week 12, 16.3 fantasy points, RB 12. Week 13, 19.4 fantasy points, RB 4. And this is last year's stats, by the way. Week 14, they had the bye. Week 15, 20.6 RB 9. He's not bad. He can definitely be versatile. If you need this person, like probably some people do in their leagues, this is your flex guy. This is your RB2 guy. If you have to play him RB1, I really wish you the best of luck. I am sorry.
Yeah. I mean, the matchup isn't terrible this week.
Gets
The
Detroit.
offense is a lot worse than last year because Jordan Love is now at the helm, but it's kind of one of those chicken or the egg. It was last year because Aaron Rodgers, or is it him? I'm a little more hesitant on Dylan just because of what we've seen this year. But look, running backs are really hard to come by in fantasy, and you probably need to start him some weeks
Exactly. Yeah,
because,
exactly.
and this could be one of those weeks. You're down Aaron Jones, you got AJ Dillon, you either traded for him or probably picked him up on waivers because a lot of people dropped him multiple times probably, and this could be one of those spots where you need to start him. So yeah,
I know what most people are thinking. They're probably thinking, "I'm gonna grab a random tight end and hope he does something." Don't do that. I've also there's a sorry, I forgot to mention this. Huge boon. Musgrave is, I believe, out for the week as well. Less offensive options. That sounds like a bad thing in general, but probably means they're going to run the ball more, which means there's a higher chance that he will get maybe a lucky touchdown.
Yeah, Musgrave was actually just put on IR, so he's out for a couple weeks.
Oh,
But yeah,
oh, nice.
should
I'm
be okay.
expecting Aaron Jones to join him soon enough. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, my running back hero of the week is going to be Isaiah Pacheco going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, opportunities have been very predictable for him. He gets at least 16 touches in most games. In fact, he's got 16 in 7 out of his 10 games played. They had the bye, so that's why it's a little different. He's hit 70 or more rushing yards in 5 out of those 10 games and is currently averaging 4.9 yards per carry on the season. Raiders right now, they've been playing a little bit better. I saw an injury report for Max Crosby as dealing with a knee injury, but I expect him to play. So on the defensive side of the ball, they're a little bit better, but right now, what works for the Chiefs is running the freaking ball because no one can catch anything except the running backs and Travis Kelsey. There. It was. We won't dive into it, but Monday night was really bad to watch. It was really sad. No one should have to worry about Patrick Mahomes being able to throw the ball because he does it great and his receivers can't. They can't hit the broadside of the barn. So they couldn't catch water if they fell out of a boat. But let's stop bashing those wide receivers and get back to Isaiah Pacheco. So the running backs against the Raiders are getting about 22 or more fantasy points per game. So this is a backfield where it's him. That's it. There's no one taking work away except to spell him a little bit. So the role is his. Just enjoy.
I agree, 100%. I'm definitely starting Pacheco this week, no matter what, especially against the Las Vegas Raiders defense. I definitely do agree that it's been a tiny bit of a struggle sometimes. Not any fault of Patrick Mahomes. I just think there's too little options on that offense. There's no need to guard somebody with all more than one person if they're just going to drop it half the time. It's been a bit of a struggle, and I think Pacheco has definitely faltered because of it, not due to his own fault, but just because of the offensive struggles in general. But 100%, I agree with you. I'm starting him in every league that I can.
All right, let's dive into wide receivers. Who you got?
My favorite, everyone's favorite, grand wide receiver of the year, Puka Nakua, 100%. So I have a couple reasons why we're doing this, right? Puka Nakua is wide receiver 10 in half PPR leagues. I want you to sink that in. I drafted him at pick 5.7 in our Dynasty League. Most of you who probably didn't get to round 5 of your Dynasty Leagues probably picked this kid up after like weeks 1 or 2 without even knowing who this kid was, like at all. What a guy. I'm playing him for a variety of reasons. One, Cardinals, right? Not a great defense. Two, while yes, Cooper Cup is supposedly projected to play this week, that doesn't mean he's gonna be at 100% after getting injured. And we don't know if that had to do anything with like the lingering injury. Um, there's a lot maybe going on there. I'm not too sure. Puka had a fantastic week last week without Cooper Cup there, and he's had fantastic weeks with Cooper Cup there. So I would feel pretty confident starting Puka Nakua.
Yeah, Puka's really good. we can end the discussion there. All right, I'm gonna go with Mr. Tank Dell against the Jaguars, following my pick for CJ Stroud this week. Tank Dell has been a fantasy revelation over the past few weeks. 3 straight games with 10 or more targets and 4 touchdowns over that same time period. He torched the Jags defense back in week 3 for 145 yards and a touchdown. Um, he's finished the past 3 weeks as wide receiver 1, 11, and 3. You got to stay in the fire with him. Kid's hot. He's another one. If you drafted him or probably picked him up on waivers like I did, you're very, very happy because he's just getting it done. Point You can end the point there. He just does it. I don't know how it's working because it's a lot of this offense is just really going in. We were all very concerned, and they just put us all to shame, like because they just get it done. And I'm at the point where I'm starting him over a lot of guys because I want the upside. You want to put some volatile players in your fantasy lineup, and who's more volatile than Tank Dell to win you a week? He got like 26 points last week. It's wonderful to watch. He's heavily involved in this offense. Him and CJ Stroud have an obvious connection. So why fight it? Just start him. That's
Yeah,
it.
he's yeah. I don't the Houston Texans are like an enigma to me in general. But like I'm very lucky that I was able to get Tank Dell in a couple of redraft leagues. I don't have him in any dynasty leagues, and I kind of wish I did. But like I he's like probably your instant like lock in at wide receiver 2 or flex like for any week. Like I don't know when you don't do that. He's just great. End of discussion. Yeah, like you said.
Yeah. All right. On to our favorite position of all time, tight ends.
So my 10 end hero is a bit of I'll say it's definitely another shot in the dark to an extent. It's Pat Frymuth. And this has I have no stats from the season to really back this up. He's been injured, and when he wasn't injured, he had one game over 10 fantasy points. He's been rather lackluster for the past that we have had from him. And this past week there was nothing too much better. The reason why I'm going to say start him now over other tight ends is one, you're basically hoping, right, when you're going through tight ends half the time, like, you're just trying to hope that you pick the right one that scores you like 7 to 10 fantasy points. But if there was ever a week for this to happen, the Steelers play against the Bengals this week, which is a divisional matchup. The Steelers have an actual shot of trying to go far in the regular season and actually try and make playoffs to be competitive. They are a game behind the Ravens, and I think they're 2 games behind the. I'm sorry, no, they're a game behind the Browns, and they're 2 games behind the Ravens. I think the Ravens are 8-3, and the Browns are 7-3. So obviously, buys make some stuff confusing, but they have a legitimate shot to make playoffs, win the division, but they're like in that race. They're doing their best. They're trying. And they play against the Bengals, like I said, divisional matchup. They are below them at 5-5. What better time for them to try and utilize every single offensive weapon they have against a Cincinnati Bengals team in general that is struggling not only defensively but also offensively now that Joe Burrow is gone. Put them in the dirt, try to leave them behind. Not saying it's going to happen, but 100% do whatever it takes to eliminate one of the threats to you from making playoffs.
Yeah, let's also remember too, they just fired their offensive coordinator, so things are going to change. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. I mean, it might be a little bit slower, but Fryermuth is a really good talent at the tight end position, and we've seen that in the past. So this is where hopefully things start going up. And if you got him, tight end's a wasteland. So it's been maybe a little bit better this year. I mean, I feel a little bit more confident in some of these tight ends on
Yeah, it's
waivers,
weird.
but still not great. But there's
I
a lot of
definitely
rookies.
feel like, yeah, there's a lot of rookies, and I feel like tight ends are scoring like at least 5 points, which sounds so small, but like I feel like there are so many years where it's like, oh yeah, it's like there's like 3 that score like 15, the other guys score like 1.2, and I'm like, great.
It used to be,
That's
hey,
awesome.
look, my tight end caught a pass. Nice. That was it. Now,
Yeah,
now it's
honestly,
like, hey,
like
they caught like
yeah,
4. Sweet. Now
wow,
you're
no
expecting
way.
it. So we're getting spoiled this season. Talk about getting spoiled. We're gonna go with my tight end hero of the week being Trey McBride against the LA Rams. He's averaging just under 9 targets per game since week 8 and 6.5 since Kyler Murray's return a few weeks ago. This is a rejuvenated Cardinals offense in a divisional matchup against the Rams, who right now are allowing about 9 fantasy points to the tight end position. he is very involved in this offense. Kyler Murray is targeting him a lot. It's hurting Marquise Brown, but this is an offense I do think is going to get better as Kyler comes back and into the mold. You know, it looks like he's been pretty involved throughout his injury with the new coach and everything, but now we're kind of starting to see him find his legs again. And Trey McBride is that person for him. I know Zach Ertz comes back off of IR most likely this week, if not probably next week. But Trey McBride has shown what he can do, and I don't see this offense taking away targets away from him to give to Zach Ertz. They'll probably take it away from someone else because if someone's really good, you don't not give them the ball because we also have this decent older tight end who's done it in the past. So Trey McBride is someone I am. If you were lucky enough to pick him up, you're probably happy. For me, I'm ecstatic because I had Mark Andrews, and unfortunately, his injury. Hope he gets back soon. The reports kind of are all over the place where he might be back soon, probably season ending though. If they're going deep in the playoffs, which I expect they will, he could be back. But tight end sucks. It's hard, but if you got him, you're excited, like me. All right, now we got some defensive guys here. Let's rattle those off and see which ones you like, which ones you dislike. So, my top play this week is the Dolphins versus the Jets. That's my top one. Ever since I heard Tim Boyle is going to start on Black Friday football, that's a thing. The Dolphins now have Jalen Ramsey back, and they're going to have a field day. So if you have them, congratulations on your victory. You could probably safely say they're going to score at least 15 points on your defense. So congrats. Next one here, I like the Chiefs versus the Raiders. They're really good. The Chiefs defense is, I'm thinking, matchup proof at this point. I don't care who it is. They're going to get to the quarterback. They're going to force turnovers. They could keep the game a little bit lower. They're playing so good. They beat up on the Eagles last week. They got a bunch of sacks and everything. So they can get there. Going against the Raiders and Aiden O'Connell, it's a no-brainer. So
it's a joke. It's a joke, 100%.
Yeah. Next one, I like the Lions versus the Packers. I know you have AJ Dillon as your hero of the week, but I do think outside of him, there's not much to be said. Jordan Love does not look that good. Jaden Reed has a back injury. Romeo Dobbs is decent, but I don't see how they really attack this Lions defense, who's playing really, really well. I know they let up a little bit of points last week, but if I know anything about Dan Campbell, he's going to make sure that doesn't happen this week, especially in an in-division matchup on Thanksgiving. He is going to make sure his defense is fired up, and they're going to be lights out against a Packers offense that is struggling, to say the least. Final one here. Little bit of a sleeper pick, I guess. Not really inside the norm here, but the Titans defense against the Panthers. Titans defense is not that good. We thought they were really good, usually against running backs. That hasn't been the case. You can throw on them. I'm just looking at the opposing offense and Bryce Young and no one else outside of Adam Thielen. That's the game plan for the Titans defense. Vrabel is going to look and be like, all right, double up on Adam Thielen, and we could just do what we want. So they're going to get to the quarterback. Bryce Young looks skittish in the pocket. His accuracy is not that great, so I expect a couple picks. Probably going to be some fumbles and lots of sacks, as we mentioned. So, any other ones you like, or those your top ones here? There's other defenses, but I'm not going to go with the guys that have been rostered through bye weeks.
Right.
You're not.
I am going to go with one. I'm going to go with one more. Actually, technically two more. I think if you have either of these, you might be fine. It's going to hurt both of us, but I think the Giants and the New England defense, you might be fine with either. those two offenses do so much of nothing. Like, I know that the Giants offense looked fine last week against a pitiful Washington Commanders defense. I it's rough. I don't know exactly if it's probably a little risky to go with it, but with the rumors of Bailey Zappi might be starting over Mac Jones, you definitely have the option of going with the Giants defense. And on the Patriots side, you have Tommy DeVito throwing the ball, which, yeah, I mean, he's looked fine, quotes. Most quarterbacks in a sense look fine because defenses aren't really adjusted to them at first. As time goes on, that magic kind of wears off, and I'm thinking that now might be that time. I don't think they're going to have like 20 points, but they'll probably, I feel like both defenses might have like a cool like 7 or 8 points by the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason Tommy DeVito was a third string quarterback. So let's not. The Giants are in a downward spiral. I'm kind of annoyed they won last week because I want them to lose.
Why are we winning? Just throw the game.
This is what happens. We're Giants fans. This happens every time. It's like, oh, great, they're doing good. And nope, no, they suck. Never mind.
Like out of
It's a
playoffs.
mirage.
Who cares?
And then we do too well to not draft a better replacement. But yeah, no, I like those two picks because the Giants are terrible. They cannot guard a quarterback. Doesn't matter who it is. They cannot guard them. Saquon Barkley is the entire offense. You shut him down, you shut the offense down. A bunch of injuries all around, and the Giants defense, although not great, you're going up against the New England Patriots, who have also been a downward spiral this year. So it's kind of like when push comes to shove, immovable object meets unbreakable wall. What's going to happen? They're both going to do bad.
I think it's movable object versus breakable wall, actually.
Whatever.
I think.
Whatever it is, that's what's happening this week. It's going to be different.
Yeah.
So,
for certain. At least it's not on prime time.
Yeah. No. I can't take any more of these primetime games that are just like bleh. Oh, I hope that I think the Giants have like 1 or 2 more primetime games. I don't know why. I hope they flex them.
Yeah, I think after last week, I think they can now flex any primetime game they want out. I think I read that somewhere. So
that would be nice because we don't deserve primetime. You hide those teams like midday, so no one has to watch it.
They're like the 1 p.m. games. They're like, they're just there and you don't watch them for the headline. But yeah.
Put like 10 games on at once and like they're just kind of they need to be hidden, not safe for work. But
100%.
All right, well, why don't we jump out of here? That is going to wrap things up for us. Please like, share, subscribe on YouTube. Go on X. We're at the Heroes FF. Check out the website, theheroesff.com. We're everywhere you find podcasts, so please give us a review. Let us know what you like, what you dislike. We're always here. And you can go to our website and do the submit a question button, and we'll read your question on the show. So, alrighty, let's go have some turkey. Everyone enjoy your Thanksgiving. We will be back next week with more wonderful heroes. All right, everyone. So long.
See you around.
Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Heroes of Fantasy Football podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the Heroes FF.